One.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Let's Talk Sports. I'm Corey Tanisoff, joined by co-host Gerald Mendoza with guest PJ Dolan on the wire. So we're going to go through something real quick and say our number one rep teams and the number one best sports moment that we can think of right now. And we'll start with Gerald. Go ahead.
All right. Let's say this is to run down my favorite teams. I'm unfortunately a Washington Redskins fan and unfortunately a Baltimore Orioles fan. God help me. Washington Capitals and MLS has got to be the DC United. Am I missing a sport here?
Basketball, NBA, baby.
And hockey.
Yeah.
Oh, you say
And hockey. Capitals, you covered.
Wizards. Yeah, Wizards. Favorite sports moment, probably one that I've lived through, ALDS Game 2, 2014, Orioles versus Tigers, coming back in the bottom of the eighth, down 6-3 to get on top 7-4 and finish the game out.
All right, PJ?
All right, so I'm PJ, and I have the great misfortune of being a fan of the New York Knicks. The Giants, love the Giants. They let me down recently, but, we had a couple good runs there. Yankees, they're my lifeline. I don't know what I'd do without them. They keep me sane and bring so much peace to my life. And the Rangers, listen, taking a couple years off will be good. Best sports moment, probably going to have to say, let's go Lawrence Tynes, 2011, 2012 NFC Championship game against the 49ers, kicking us to the Super Bowl, double overtime.
All right, and I'm Corey. Favorite teams are all over the fucking seaboard. Got an Indianapolis Colts, Los Angeles Dodgers, Washington Capitals, Washington Wizards, and I don't watch MLS because nobody really cares about that. The best sports moment of all time is Deion Sanders back in '92 after the Braves secured a playoff position, and Deion Sanders hunts out Atlanta reporter Tim McCarver, and he goes, "Where McCarver at?" and is looking for McCarver. And as he finds him, he takes a bucket of ice and dumps it on his face. That is the single best moments in sports history. A man who has been slandering him for the last month, talking about how he decommitted from his contract to the Braves to instead play with the Falcons, and dumping ice in his face. Not even behind him, just right in his mouth. All right, so we're going to start off first talking about something that is really prevalent and that we have been fiending for recently, and it's sports. We have had no sports at all for a month now. So, Gerald, go ahead and give the rundown on just how we got this way.
All right. March 11th, 2020, the coronavirus had been in the news around here and there. We had not seen it really eradicated. We've not seen much going on in terms of the world of sports. Obviously, the world turns to sports to try to get away from the rest of the world. But the point is, that night, the NBA had a triple header going on, a bunch of games, obviously. And after the president's speech, I was watching the news, trying to see the reaction to the president's national address on what the plan was for the coronavirus. Obviously, it was some crap plan. And all of a sudden, on my phone appears a headline from the Associated Press that the NBA had decided to suspend the season indefinitely. Now, as soon as that happened, I go to ESPN, and they're playing a game. In the middle of the game, or about to end, the Dallas Mavericks game versus, I forget who they're playing.
Spurs? Was it a Spurs game?
I don't think it was a Spurs. It was. Point is, I knew it was at the Mavericks because Mark Cuban was making a scene.
As always.
Yeah. But the announcers were toggling back and forth between the game and reporting from Scott Van Pelt with some league officials.
SVP, Maryland native.
Absolutely.
Maryland native.
Yes, sir. As the game was happening, people were, finding out that the league decided to suspend the season because Rudy Gobert had contracted the coronavirus. He was going to miss the game due to illness, and no one thought it was actually the coronavirus. And just days before, he was messing around with the microphones and everything, not taking the situation seriously. So we have a theory that when he gets back, he's going to get beat up by every single player in the NBA.
As Common would introduce, he's got coronavirus and he don't care. Checking in at center, it's Rudy Gobert.
I like that. But my question is, why, of all the damn cities and teams in the NBA, did a team from Utah start all this? What's going on in Utah?
Utah wants to start anything.
What are the more
Anything that the Utah Jazz can do from people confusing them as the same franchise as the Denver Nuggets, which everybody thinks that they're the same team. They're just trying to set themselves apart, and they think, what a better way to do this than to have Corona. And they figured out the way, and now everybody knows Rudy Gobert's name.
Point is, within 24 hours, not only did the NBA suspend its season, the NCAA, just about collectively, the NCAA as a whole didn't act. It was each conference head acting as they were one by one canceling their tournaments, which were in the middle of, in the process of being completed. Canceled their tournaments. The MLS canceled its season. The MLB decided to cancel all preseason games. And after that, the NFL was put on notice because they weren't doing anything, but they had canceled all training, practices, team meetings, and what else. So within 24 hours, the world of sports stopped. I have never seen this before in my life. Sports has always been there, and then all of a sudden, like that, it's gone. Except for the Mexican League, if I can be frank. Well, they didn't stop allowing fans into their stands until Saturday.
Until like Saturday, as in of this week.
No, not of this week. Saturday, 2 days after the
okay.
League. But
I was going to say that's
yeah. I heard Saturday, and I was like, wait, they didn't.
No. They're not that careless. But this just goes. I can say this, and I'm going to always say this. Leave it to the Hispanics to put everything last.
Well, I mean, it's unprecedented. It's nothing ever has affected it this bad. We had the 2004 and then the 1994 NHL lockouts, which prevented an entire season from being played. In MLB at 94, and then back even further, you got 72. And there's those lockouts. I think NFL had one around the 2000s, and the NBA had the famous 2011 lockout, which featured everybody from Kevin Durant to LeBron James to your scrub ninth man playing in a 5-man tournament just because they wanted to play basketball. But we're experiencing all this at the same time. So we don't have anything else to watch. So I myself have been looking back at different 30 for 30s and like highlights of professional players today and past, and even just games, just re-airs of, November 23rd NBA game, Jazz versus Hornets that nobody cares about, but there's no sports. There's nothing to watch. What do you think? What do you think we can do about sports, PJ?
What we can do about sports? Well, I mean, the MLB has a realignment plan, which I'll get to in a little bit. But, I mean, honestly, everybody says they don't want fans in the crowd or that they shouldn't play games if there's not fans there. I completely disagree. At this point, I'm so starved and deprived of sports that I'll just, I'll deal with whatever I got to deal with.
Yeah, LeBron James came out and said about a week before they actually canceled games amidst the coronavirus concerns that he would never play a game in front of no fans because fans are the reason that he plays. Now, you've got hundreds of millions of Americans. Oh, that's unfortunate. Hundreds of millions of Americans who are now looking for any kind of answer, any kind of remedy to get through coronavirus, and sports is the answer. It's the thing that has unified America as America. We've got baseball, which is America's pastime, and we're missing that right now. You've got the end of the NBA season. I think last week would have been the beginning of the postseason of the NBA playoffs. We've got nothing to watch. Hockey, if you look at it historically, this is postponing two people's journeyman careers, or not journeyman, but going towards greatest of all time status careers. Well, three, actually. You've got Ovechkin, who's on his quest to meet the great one's goals, and it's not going to happen if his season is cut off halfway short. He's missing out on half of a season, and that's taken elder years off of his career. You've got the second one. You've got LeBron James trying to look for a postseason berth and then a championship, which would put him in the same air as Michael Jordan, his airness, but he's not going to find that because they have canceled the playoffs so far. And then the third is Mike Trout. I look at Mike Trout and I see a potential greatest baseball player of all time. And I've got my own greatest of all time, Barry Lamar Bonds. Nobody hits better, nobody fields better, nobody does better. Barry Bonds, greatest to ever play the game. But Mike Trout's up there. And Mike Trout losing out on his, how old is he, 27? His 27-year-old season. And he's not able to play at all right now. But I think the realignment that you're going to talk about later might be the answer that we're looking for. And at this point, as you said, I don't care if there's fans in the stands. Gerald, would you tune into a game that didn't have anybody in attendance?
One second, guys.
Yeah. Right now, WWE is test running, and they've been doing it for the last 2 weeks. SmackDown, Raw, and even a WrestleMania with no fans in attendance. Nobody. And it's the most awkward thing in the world, is you only have the wrestlers making noise and nothing else. So, PJ, you said you'd watch baseball games, but how different do you think it would feel?
I mean, honestly, regular season only. Of course, baseball postseason is different. Obviously, being a Yankees fan, no place is better than the Bronx in October.
No place better than the Bronx.
Absolute chaos. So would I miss fans then? Absolutely. And, could this all be over by then and be fine? Yeah. Could there be a second wave? We don't know what's going on. So, but during the regular season, if you look at MLB games going on, early afternoon, there's not anybody there anyway. It doesn't matter if you're in New York or Cleveland.
Look at the Marlins. They don't have any fans.
Exactly. So postseason, I think that becomes a bigger thing. But regular season, just get the games going.
Well, the issue that we're going to run into, unless they pursue other alternatives, is that baseball comes back when football season starts up, and that's in late August or September early, and we're a month out of the playoffs. You can't push back the MLB season so far because only 2 teams have domes. I believe Tampa Bay has a dome and Houston plays in a dome.
Right.
Maybe Miami plays in a dome. Either way, there's far more outsides, and any competing team is playing in an outdoor stadium. Now, do you move all the venues West Coast or keep it in Florida, or that's for the postseason? To have no fans in attendance for a key postseason game doesn't sound like good business. Gerald, how do you think that affects the players looking to cash in or just even get the sport down because they do what they love?
I mean, look, players feed off of fans. That's half of sports is fans.
Yeah.
As much as we love about sports, the greatest moments, sports moments we love are because of fan reactions. There's just understanding that everyone in attendance and basically everyone watching is in awe of what someone just did. And you feed off of that. Players feed off of that. That helps them. That helps them motivate themselves to up their game and keep on striving for something better. And then to take that away would be very difficult. I understand circumstantially that this is not happened before. I mean, I did actually watch that one game after. Remember the
2015 White Sox Baltimore during the Baltimore riots.
Right.
Empty stadium.
It was just weird. Now they had some fans outside the gates. You could still hear cheering, and but it was weird to be able to hear throughout the stadium the announcer's voice because the press box don't have glass. You could just hear them announcing. It was weird.
Now, did you see what was going on in Korea or Japan? I can't remember which one, but they were playing a baseball game and they had mannequins in the seats. That's terrifying. I'd rather just have no fans at all.
Right.
I would rather have what the Falcons did for the last 10 years and just pump in crowd noise. Do what nobody else is going to
Exactly.
do. Pump in the crowd noise. I just want to hear something. I don't want to sit back and watch and hear the crack of a bat and nobody go, oh, or like a foul ball that almost tags the foul pole, which should be called a home run pole. Because if you hit the pole, it's a home run. If you don't, it's a foul ball. Should be called the home run pole.
What happens if it bounces in towards the foul area?
If it hits the foul pole, it's a home run. Which is why it should be called the home run pole and not the foul pole. But
I mean, that's fair.
I don't want to sit back and see what's a bat flip going to be like? Complete silence. You flip your bat and you hear it conking against the AstroTurf. Nobody wants that.
Okay, but would you? But like you said, like PJ, you said, and we understand it is nowhere near preferable to play without a fan. You want some amount of fans in there or crowd noise. But again, you're so starved for sports. We all are for some live, new, fresh sports. That would you take a couple weeks of not doing anything? That league the league realignment from the MLB that we're gonna talk about, the facilities and what they're gonna use and everything. That's gonna be in front of no fans at least for a little bit.
Oh, definitely. But I forgot where I was about to go. But it's just having no fans is better than having no sport at all. I was listening to somebody and they said no matter how it happens, every season for every sport this year is going to be an asterisk year nobody's going to really count anything that happens this year. I mean, but NBA was majority finished headed towards the postseason, so you could count that, and maybe NHL. But this year is going to be an asterisk year for every sport, for every team. So I say, why not just go out and do it?
Well, that brings me to my next question. And if it's an asterisk year, which it's going to be because it's an incomplete season, you've got, let's say the NBA picks up and they resume the postseason in July or August or however they decide to do it. Should they resume, you've got teams that are in playoff contention. Like you've got the Lakers who are absolutely a lock for it, the Bucks who are locked. But then you've got teams who are on the fringe like the Nets. Now, here's the thing, is you got the Nets and you've got all of summer. You've got all the spring and all the summer to get your players healthy. Should and would the Nets be allowed to get a healthy Kevin Durant and a healthy Kyrie Irving back to their team, even though they were injured before this happened?
Now, I didn't think about that. Did they put them on the injured list? Like
they're injured reserve. Yes.
If they're injured reserve, then no. But
well, Kyrie was not. Kevin Durant was, I believe, injured reserve, or he was on their. He was in their reserves, but that's a game time decision. They could switch it up as soon as he's healthy and announce he's off. But once he gets medically cleared, he's medically cleared to play. So should the Nets be able to have a Kyrie who just got injured at right before the season cutoff and get him back in for postseason contention? And should they get Kevin Durant, who will undoubtedly be healthy going into it? Or should they be left out with the team that they made it there with?
I'd say keep the team as it is. I'm not just saying that out of spite towards the Nets, but I don't think it's fair for them. I mean, we're talking about Kevin Durant. He's debatably the best basketball player out right now.
Yeah, Finals MVP, couple for NBA a handful of NBA first teams. Probably, if he's healthy, the second best player to be playing in the NBA. You've got Kevin Durant, a 7-foot giant listed at 6'9", which no, he's not 6'9".
Right.
Kevin Durant is in no sense of the word 6 foot anything. Now you've got Kevin Durant, but he's healthy. He's a player. He's on your roster. Why can't you use him? Why shouldn't you?
I mean, I think it should be as if none of this ever happened. You pick up the day after, and however your team was is however your team was.
Joe,
I think that's.
I don't know, because on the one hand I get it. I'll keep as is. Is that fair to? I don't know. Is that fair to those who were recovered, who were injured? Like you were gonna, I guess you were gonna sit out an extended period of time in your games, but you're back. Why not just treat it as a small injury and get back? I get there's uneven, possibly unfair because they were going to be out and other teams thought they had a chance. But I mean, if they're healthy, they're healthy. It would just be like we thought it, as if a situation where we thought an injury was worse than it was, and he came back the next day and he's fine, he's ready to play. I don't think you would have to keep teams, as is, as they were right before this whole thing happened.
I mean, not to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I mean, you look at it I just thought of this from a business side for the NBA. The amount of viewership they get if they did let it happen, let the players come back, and all of a sudden you got the Nets in the mix with Kyrie and KD. Playoffs would be absolutely insane viewership. I mean, they're going to be insane viewership. Stuff going on, but it would be absolutely insane.
Whatever sport's going to be happening at that, whatever, let's be honest, major sports is going to be happening. Such an international brand like the NBA is, as soon as they open, they don't care who's on the field. I mean, who's on the court, who's playing. They're just going to watch it because this world is sports deprived. It's the entire world that's just not doing anything but watching news or waiting for sports to happen again.
Right. I mean, they even canceled Wimbledon. Like, of all the events you could have without fans, tennis and golf are by far.
Well, golf is going to happen, but they're going to wait a few months.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the next thing is when we're looking at longevity, or I guess something past, like implications of this. How does this impact the MLB? If the season gets pushed off, we've got blockbuster trades that just happened in the offseason. And as a Dodgers fan, I can recall we got Mookie Betts on a 1-year deal. Now, if we don't have the season to play, and now we have Mookie Betts looking for a long-term deal, which he deserves as he's a top athlete in the sport, What happens to the one-year deals? What happens to the trades when they're just picking off the ends of somebody's contract so that they can have them for a year before they get dealt off to the highest bidder?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It could be they can put a provision. Look, this is going to be everything right now in the world, and not just sports. Everything right now in the world is an exception to rules, with the exception of some, of a lot of laws that have to be followed. But in terms of like non-legal litigation, stuff like provisions in contracts and even jail sentences have been changed. Like stuff there, this year is an exception to whatever rule you had in place. So maybe you have to put something there that says, well, since they didn't get a full year out of them, keep them one more. I know the age thing is hard, but who gets the benefit of the doubt here, the player or the team, and how to manage this? Who gets more leverage? Does the player have it to say, well, I spent 1 year with you guys, and unfortunately, nothing, things didn't end up working out. I would have liked to stay longer, but my career is my career. I want to go somewhere else, or someone's offering more money, or this is a better opportunity for me. Or is the team going to have the authority to say, well, we didn't complete this contract because it was supposed to be one full sports calendar, and this sports calendar did not happen.
Well, I mean, I think that might also go to like how the contract is worded. Like you might have, okay, say I sign a 1 year deal.
Maybe it's 1 season.
Maybe I sign a 1 year deal with the Knicks right now, and they're like, okay, you're a member of the New York Knicks until April 17th of 2021. Or is it you play for us for 1 season? Like, I think that's when stuff like that could get involved that makes everything a little different.
And that's where you have to look at every single contract. Most of them are going to have years because, let's be honest, no sports league thought this was ever going to happen. This is going to change how contracts are written. This is going to change, teams and leagues and players are all going to try to look out for themselves with their best interests in mind. And, that might be another legal hurdle that might cause other players to say, you know what, they said year instead of season. I want to secure a full season of play, or like a team wants to secure a full season of play. I just wanted a year, no matter what happens. Let's hope this doesn't happen again. We don't have another pandemic, but should that happen again, what are you going to do?
Well, and that brings us back to another thing, which is pretty much on topic with this. We've got teams who are staring championships right in the eye from as soon as spring break ended and as soon as opening day hit. Was you got teams like your Yankees and my Dodgers who are already locks for the World Series. That's already the favorite.
Well, we thought that the last 3 years, but PJ, we'll get to that.
Oh yeah, let me know once Astros time.
We're gonna cover it.
We got it.
But we've got teams who have been staring the dragon in the mouth for the last year. This is for all intents and purposes our year. That whatever teams have said it. Every team says it every single year, but there's teams that know, and all the fans know. They know that they're going to see the Dodgers go until the NLCS at least, and they know they're going to see the Yankees go until the NLCS at least. And anybody else who joins them is just a toss-up. It's a coin flip. Nobody saw the Nationals winning the last World Series, but here we are.
Yankees in the NLCS?
No, sorry, the Yankees in the ALCS.
Grapefruit League.
Grapefruit League, yeah. But we've got all these teams who have accumulated their rosters, and every player is getting a year older. Every single player is a year older, and every single player is a year rustier. So how does it go from there? I mean, I look at it and I see, here's the year. For every other year, the Dodgers have been an incredible talent. Back-to-back World Series appearances, back-to-back NLCS victories, and then we get knocked out by the Nationals. We get knocked, and that's what it is. But it's baseball. You play a 7-game series, a 5-game series for a reason. But this is the year. We've got the extra tool on our kit. We've got Mookie Betts doing whatever you need him to do.
You got David Price.
We got David Price, who's an aging pitcher who might be able to be a Rich Hill type without as much movement on his curveball and a little more length to him. But we've got Kershaw coming out of a rut, and we've got Buehler coming up as one of the top young pitchers in baseball. Now we've got the squad built around it, but everybody's a year older and the contracts are a year shorter now. So a year where we thought would be a lock for the World Series goes into next year when we got to make trades and make, winter meetings happen again. So how does that affect teams like the Orioles or the Yankees? Like, you might see that as a positive for the Orioles, and you will absolutely probably see this as a negative for the Yankees, but I'd like to hear your input.
We have Chapman and Tanaka this year.
Right. I was about to say, like the Yankees pitching has got to be. They're either going to try to work something out during this.
I mean, this is great because Luis Severino just gets a free
Oh,
recovery.
rehabs in his Tommy John.
Well, let me make that bigger. The entire Orioles organization has a free year. We have a free year. We were gonna suck this year anyway. We're in the middle of a rebuild. We back-to-back 100-loss seasons. You know, this. Yeah, I know. But now this year, since this year is scrapless, this year was going to be scrapped by us anyway. So the fact that it's just a complete pause, it's not hurting us in any way, other than the fact that we might not be able to develop as much as we want to in front of the 10 people that show up to our games now.
Much as y'all were developing to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, but development takes time. That's the thing. It takes time, and you were going to spend years like this. So this is a good thing for just us. Even if the young guys are just training and doing that, it was going to be an up year. It just for them to grow as baseball players and skill set and strength and whatnot. So this pause isn't. I'm not going to say it's positively affecting us, but in the default way it is, because we're not losing anything from it, because we were going to lose this year anyway. We weren't expecting to go into the playoffs this year at all. So.
Well, I mean, take a step back. I mean, you just had Chris Davis going batting 700 with an 800 OBS or on base percentage in spring training, and now you've got Adley Rushman that you're trying to train up as a catcher down in the farm leagues. Does this delay anything? Does this put off Chris Davis's hot bat? Because you've got good things going for you. I mean, the Orioles have a lot of young talent that could fit from a losing season. Even if it's just plate appearances, you've got that, and then you've got your number one draft pick from 2019 at catcher trying to come in and get some digs. How does that hurt the future of the organization?
I gotta say, it's not going to be perfect. Obviously, the organization still, obviously, like you said, there were people who were doing good. There were players who were doing good. I like Trey Mancini, and I like the fact that Chris Davis was finally his bat was getting hot again. But overall, as a whole, the organization is in general going to benefit from the fact that no one else is playing right now, because they're not going to get spanked by the Yankees 13-0 with football scores in there, or they're not going to, I don't know. I can't say that. Well, no, I can't. They have lost 30-0 to the Rangers before.
Yep. Or 28-3. I was at a game against the Athletics, said they got smashed.
Yeah, but that's what they were looking forward to. They were looking forward to not necessarily winning, but still just game time. And I guess that's the real loss. It's just game time for everybody is going to be gone, because game time is what gives people real experience. Major league game time, playing an actual field, fielding an actual hit, dealing with actual, better, the best of the best pitchers. Someone's ace is going to be up against you at some point, and you got to learn how to bat against him. You got to learn how to bat against Chappie.
Oh, I mean, without a doubt. Well, and going to the Yankees, talking about Chapman, you guys just picked up, I think it was TJ Sakema on the 2019, and he's developing a left-handed pitcher. How does that influence it? You got a bunch of first basemen and outfielders, and you've got that farm team going. The Yankees have always been known for A, developing talent in the farm leagues, or B, trading for talent. There's never been a player on the roster that's made it big time starting. So how does that impact the organization?
I mean, as much as okay, Gary, we did just drop almost $400 million on Gary Cole, so that's an exception. But as far as the core of the baby bombers, as everybody calls them, this new generation,
with Judge.
Right, with Judge, Sanchez, all of them. This is Severino. These are all homegrown people. So, I mean, the exception of trading for Stanton, who, by the way, hasn't really done anything for us. But with the exception of Stanton and Cole, this whole team's very much homegrown. So
the Yankees have been known for either homegrowing their players or trading for them. They don't trade for somebody and then grow them up to be something bigger. Like they brought in Alex Rodriguez, and they brought in Randy Johnson coming off of hot seasons and then built a dynasty off of it. And then you've got homegrown talent like Jeter, and like you're talking about with the baby bombers, you've got those going for you. So what does this do in impact of, trade leverage or just getting minutes in?
I mean, it's going to suck developing players for any team. No access to the spring training facilities with everything going on, the whole shutdown and everything. But I don't think this is going to really impact our trade leverage or, I mean, last year, you saw us last year, we had
The Yankees are a top market
30,
destination.
right. We had 30 people on the IL. So pretty much our entire AAA team got to play in the majors last year. So our minor league system is not hurting for, trade value, if you will.
Right.
So I think all of our young guys got to prove themselves last year. And I mean, as much as this sucks not being able to use the facilities, they had their time in the spotlight last year because of all the injuries. So
I don't think anything right now, honestly, right now, anything, at least very much as I pay attention to the international markets, there is almost no brand, possibly no other brand in baseball as good, as starstruck, as powerful as the Yankees in baseball. If you want to make
titles.
Oh, absolutely. You can do whatever you want.
27. Yeah. If you want to make
more
it big,
rings than fingers and toes.
You're someone who's growing up in the Dominican Republic, Cuba, you're Japan, Korea, or somewhere in
There's
Europe.
two teams. You want
The
the Yankees,
Netherlands.
or you want where MVPs are born.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to about, Aaron Judge is always going to be my
We're going to hop to that next.
Yeah. So
go ahead, finish up.
Yeah. So the brand of the Yankees is not going to hurt right now. The brand of the Dodgers is not going to hurt. The Orioles rebuilding, but they never were a huge brand to begin with. They were a hometown team, and they have some good support. But it's not the Yankees. It's not the Dodgers.
I would argue that it hits the small markets harder than it hits the big markets. Big market teams have big market fans. Small market teams got the fair weather. And that's what it is you look down south and you got Tampa and Miami, and you've never met a diehard Marlins fan.
I think it's just a
diehard Devil Rays fan.
Is there a diehard sports fan in Florida for professional league sports?
Well, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
My uncle is a diehard Jacksonville Jaguars fan.
Yeah.
And outside of that, I have zero idea.
They take down there, they take the football seriously, and even more than that, it's college football. And then you see Florida State and Florida Gators dynasties down with Florida State and in Gainesville with the Gators. You've got it all going on there. So that brings, talking about MLB teams and their leverage with MVP, that brings us to the next conversation, and that conversation is Spygate MLB edition. We're talking trash can gate, talking stealing sign gate. We are talking smacking anything you can against whatever you can in the dugout. Now, this is an argument that every single one of us has the very same point of view. So if you are an Astros sympathizer, I consider tuning out and skipping forward the next 15 minutes.
No. Force them to watch this because they need to understand their mistakes.
Because you need a reality check. You need a reality check is what this is. If you sit there and you say every team's doing it, then they're not. If you want to say the Astros didn't need it, then they didn't. So I'm going to turn this over to the AL MVP stolen golden boy, Aaron Judge's representative, not really, PJ Dolan.
All right, so me and Corey, we're going to have a lot to say about this. Yankees fan, Dodgers fan, the two most greatly impacted franchises by the Astros, just absolute. I don't know what the FCC regulations on this podcast are, but I think
none.
So, all right. The one thing, if we learn anything from coronavirus and this whole shutdown, is I will make it my life's mission to make sure that the Astros still get the highest amount of torture they get from the entire MLB fan base, and they don't just get to slide by because there's no season. I hope that every baseball fan out there listening to this right now, if you're doing nothing else this entire quarantine, please simmer on every Astros video you can find. Please just take it all in and take all your anger and confusion or whatever about this lockdown and put it into the Houston Astros. And when baseball starts again, they don't get away with this. So, 2017, Aaron Judge robbed of the AL MVP, Rookie of the Year MVP. And the hell of it is...
Phenomenal season. Broke the rookie home run record in both leagues.
Broken by Pete Alonso, but because of the juice balls. Not complaining about the juice balls because they don't listen. So, the hell of it is, so going into that 2017 postseason, first of all, this is supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Yankees. Jeter retires a couple years before. We were looking for a new image. We had Gary Sanchez come up in 2016. But nobody's expecting us to do anything for a couple years. We're not supposed to be a playoff team for a little bit. Like, it's going to be a rough couple years for the Yankees. And all of a sudden, Aaron Judge comes up. Greg Bird, his only good season. Greg Bird comes up. The baby bombers are here. We have our core. We have CC Sabathia leaving us.
Cookie.
Yes, sir. And by the way, we'll talk.
Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer.
So we got CC. We got the old guys. We got CC. We got Gardy and Tim Frazier. Absolute GOAT. Anyway. So all of a sudden, we make it to the wild card game against the Twins. Didi Gregorius. We're down 3-0. Didi Gregorius hits that 3-run homer, and it's off to the races. And all of a sudden, here we are, Game 7 of the ALCS against the Houston Astros. Nobody saw it coming. And here we are, one game away from the World Series. We'd lost that game in Houston. And the thing about that series was every game that was played in Houston, the Astros won, and it was a close game. But every game played in New York, that series was an absolute show that the Yankees put on against the Astros. We shelled the Astros all 3 games in New York. But at the end of the series, was I disappointed we didn't make it to the World Series? Absolutely.
I remember.
But I mean, go ahead, Joe.
I remember I was watching it. I was watching it live. I was texting you during the game. And at the end of the game, I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. That was a close game, but I thought the Yankees had it. And you were like, you know what? It wasn't even supposed to be our year. I'm glad we even got this far. It was an entertaining season. I can't wait until we actually get it done next year, is what you said. That's what
absolutely. So I'm, it sucked, but I was all in on that team, man. Like that couple months, it was such a fun run that whole October. And, I felt good for Houston. They beat us, but they just went through the hurricane, and the Astros have been the laughing stock of the league so long. As a Knicks fan, I could sympathize with the Houston Astros.
So long, not that long, about 15 years.
Well, still,
extended periods of time, yeah.
Right. As a Knicks fan, I can sympathize with being an absolute bottom feeder for over a decade. So, shout out Patrick Ewing, by the way. My dad told me to say that. He's watching right now. But
shout out Patrick Ewing.
Yeah. So, I felt good for the Houston Astros. Like, if anybody was going to win, I wanted the Astros to win. And boy, have things changed. So then that season ends. Astros beat your Dodgers in the World Series.
I got words on that.
Kershaw, his legacy just keeps getting hit.
The best pitcher in the 2010s. Going to be the best pitcher in the 2020s. The best pitcher who has stepped on a Dodgers mound. I love you, Sandy Koufax, but it's time to sit back. Clayton Kershaw has big daddy work to do. And when you get shelled that badly by that Houston Astros team, you ask questions.
So yeah, that whole thing happened. And at the end of that season, Alex Cora gets signed to be manager of the Boston Red Sox. And the Yankees trade for Giancarlo Stanton, and I'm ready to roll.
Derek Jeter manipulation.
Oh, Derek Jeter
Marlins and selling every one of his players to the Yankees.
Absolutely. So I'm ready for World Series. I'm like, okay, last year was sweet. That was great, but it's World Series time. Like, it's serious now. So we go through that whole season. Yankees are dominating, but of course the Red Sox and the Astros are the 2 best teams in the AL. And we eventually lose to the Red Sox in the ALDS. I was very disappointed. And as much cheating was going on, we did give up 15 runs in Yankee Stadium in Game 3. I'm not making excuses for that. We got
shelled.
Yeah.
You got showed, yeah.
So so I'm disappointed after that. But the next year, so this last season, it's World Series time again. But this time we're coming with vengeance because we thought we were going to have an easy path and we got shit on by the Red Sox, who were led by Alex Cora, former bench coach of the Houston Astros in 2017, the team that beat the Yankees and the Dodgers.
And my Dodgers.
So here we go. Yankees, absolute tear. Amazing season. Like 2017 vibes. The entire team were injured. 30 people on the IL, the most in MLB history for a single season. And we just keep going. All the young guys keep going. And it's amazing to watch. And we just never say die was that season. And we meet the Minnesota Twins in the first round of the playoffs, and as you know, the Yankees love playing the Twins. And this proposal,
Everybody loves playing the Twins.
playoff proposal,
Everybody loves playing the Twins.
Exactly. If we could pick whichever team we play in the postseason, like
it's
you're
the
saying,
Twins for 162 games, and then it's the Twins for 5, 5, and 7. That's
Absolutely.
what it is.
Absolutely, it'd be amazing. But as typical Yankee fashion, we ran through the Twins. And we're on to Houston again. And this time, I'm not feeling good for Houston. They got their championship. City recovered from the hurricane, whatever was going on over there. I'm not sympathizing with Houston. They're the bad guys now. So, series, Yankees win game 1. We lose the next 3. And all of a sudden, we're heading back to Houston for Game 6, and DJ LeMahieu in the top of the 9th hits a 2-run homer to tie the game. And I picked up my roommate like this, like threw him over my shoulder, and was running around the house screaming. And I was looking up if I had the finances to buy every baguette in every grocery store in the city of Columbia, Maryland, because French for MVP. I love DJ LeMahieu, Le Machine. My guy. So anyway, I'm thinking there's no way something Giants hit. I've seen helmet catch, sideline catch. I'm like, there's no way something that amazing happens and this doesn't end in us winning and going all the way. I was like, we had it. 10 pitches later, Jose Altuve steps up and drills a walk-off, and we get blown. Yeah, you don't have to do that, buddy. We can. So I'll tell you when to pause it. We can run a play-by-play of what I was doing during this.
All right, this is just the final pitch, so you're gonna have to go. So you already preempted.
Right now, I'm.
You're getting not nervous, but everyone's heart's racing. I'm
kind of shaking myself a little bit.
Yeah, because it's 1 strike already, and it's 2-1, and you're just like, and it's Chapman. It's Chapman.
You got Chapman in under 20 pitches. Your heat's in the oven.
And Altuve says he's sitting slider, so this is interesting. So,
and I believe Yankees are at the top of the order coming into the 10th at the end of the 9th.
Yeah,
so they're sitting pretty.
Yeah, and look, Altuve's 1 for 3 on the game. He was not doing good that game. So everyone's
taking a home game for the.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead and press play. Let's watch what happens.
All right, let me know if you can.
Now, is this the one where it shows him walking up to the plate?
No.
Jersey off.
It does. It's just the last. Later.
Just press play. If it's there, if it's there. If not, then I'll go on my spiel. So first of all, okay, right now I'm just in shock. So I walk outside and I walk all the way down the street, like a couple blocks easily, and I'm just decompressed because Jesus Christ, that was in the course of 10 pitches, we've gone from Yankees are going to the World Series to Altuve doing all this nonsense. So
you're just taking your breather.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, well, that's kind of a lot to process. It's quite the swing of emotions here. But anyway, so first of all, you don't hit off of Chapman like that. So something's already suspicious. So go ahead and press play and let's look at Chapman's reaction. Pause it at Chapman's face.
His face.
Yeah. And you know why he's smiling?
Because he knows something's up.
Because he knew those sneaky little bastards were cheating. But go ahead Go ahead. Press play. And here comes Altuve. Don't take my jersey off. Don't take my jersey off. He has shirtless pictures on Instagram, but he doesn't want to take his jersey off after hitting a walk-off to send his team to the World Series because his
All right,
wife.
hold on. Let me point out. If you can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Right here, he's waving to them. No, he's telling them, don't do it. Don't do that.
Exactly.
See?
Exactly. Don't take my jersey off. He's saying.
I'm shy.
Yeah, cover himself.
Shy.
I have a
Get
bad
mad.
tattoo. That was bad. That was bad when they said he had a bad tattoo. I'm like, you guys are digging yourselves.
And then he goes to the dugout, does not hits the walk-off to send his team to the World Series, goes
celebrate with
to
his
the
team,
dugout, and comes back like 5-10 minutes later with all the championship gear on. So,
he's still holding on to his shirt right there.
I was a little depressed right about now, and I wasn't really paying attention to the finer details like that.
Right,
and
but
then
we see them now. That's the thing, is that we see them now, and that
all of a sudden, John Boy Media, shout out John Boy. I'm probably not going to watch this, but, if we blow up and he sees it, shout out John Boy. Talking Yanks drops the video of the trash cans. And all of a sudden, we're in the middle of the greatest scandal since the steroid era of baseball. And this is... You have players coming out saying, I'd rather play someone who I know is juiced up than play someone who knows every pitch I'm throwing at. Like, this is another level of cheating the game. Not to mention, you got players, you got pitchers called up from the minors to go pitch in Houston, and they're getting shelled in Houston because they know every pitch that's coming, and all of a sudden they get sent back down and never get a chance, and their baseball career is over if he goes to this. You got guys like CC Sabathia who were just fighting injury after injury to finally to get their chance at another World Series. CC gets robbed of 2 trips from the Astros. We don't know what was going on in Boston, but if Alex Cora is the guy that's behind all this, guarantee something's going on in Boston. That's 3 playoff runs stopped for the Yankees. And then, of course, Corey, I'd love to get your opinion. I could go on for days as a Yankees fan, but I'd love to get your opinion as a Dodgers fan because y'all actually had to play them in the World Series.
Well, as a Dodger Blue, I've got a lot of this. I'm going to read a couple things just to put this in perspective. Courtesy of sports_taker or talker1, which is Tyler Talk Sports on Twitter, the Astros won the World Series in 2017. Look at these postseason splits. Altuve, home, batted 472, 513, 1024. He had a 1.541 OPS with 17 hits, 6 dingers, and 12 ribs. Away, 143, 268, 229, with a 497 OPS, 5 hits, 1 dinger, 2 ribs. If you can tell me that a 472 translates to a 143 away, any other way than manipulation, I would love to hear it. But when there's cameras backing up, literally cameras that show you what pitch is coming, I can't explain tripling your batting average for your home splits. And the same thing, it goes past that. It goes Correa had a 371 home batting average versus a 211 away. He had a slugging percentage at home of 743 and a slugging percentage away of 395. Everybody. And you look at other guys, and they've got better home splits, better away splits, but that's just because of their games. Like McCann at a 300 batting average and a 2.037 away. It's what it comes to. Yuli Gurriel has the same stats, but you're a batter. You hit balls that come to you. And that's why I'm going to say this is worse than the juicing era. No matter how many steroids you do, doesn't help you, doesn't make your bat fatter. It doesn't make you hit the ball any better. It makes you hit the ball further, but it doesn't make you contact it. So we're talking about an organization such as the Astros, which made a miraculous homecoming run after Hurricane Harvey, bust anybody involved. But we're making a miraculous run, and they win. And Altuve doesn't want to take off his shirt, and nobody thinks anything of it. And of course, it's I have a shitty tattoo. And it's like, oh, well, you don't have a terrible tattoo. It's just a tattoo. And you don't want anybody to see it. And then you say you're shy, but you got pictures on your Instagram of you being shirtless. It's whatever. What pains me is not only the fact that they ruined the sanctity of baseball by knowing the other half of the game that's coming to them, but they defend it. They didn't own up and say, we messed up. You've got guys like Cody Bellinger. You've got MVP, number 35, sitting up saying, I'm not upset that we lost the World Series. We lost the World Series, but these guys are robbed of opportunities. He said in quotes the word stole. He stole the MVP from Aaron, talking about Aaron Judge, and they took the World Series from us. And when it comes to 7 games, 4 of which are played in a cheating stadium, I don't know what to tell you. I don't. And you've got certain things. Then when Cody said that, then I think it was Bregman, He says, well, he just doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, Everybody knows what you're talking about because you sat here and there are literally investigations into why you're cheating.
Yeah.
The next go ahead.
Once you go on, the punishments were
that was my next thing.
Yeah.
Was
immunity for the players. It is a player-driven thing.
Can I comment on that?
I'm sitting here. I want to say this out clear. Myself, Corey Tanisoff, search me up, find me. Rob Manfred, you are a pussy. You are a fold-over 2-time bitch. You sat down and saw a team commit literal penalty in every game they played at home. And you sat down and said, fuck you, rest of the league. Astros, you're good to go. What kind of message does that send? You saw guys back in the 90s, back in the 80s. Pete Rose, who has the most hits of all time, arguably one of the best, most arguable cases for Hall of Famer, is banned from the Hall of Fame because he bet on his own team to win. He said, I believe we're going to win, so I'm going to put money on it. And he won. And because of that, now he's banned. You have things like the Black Sox, where every player is eliminated from the MLB. You're not allowed to play again. Steroid era, every player banned for years.
Look at Barry Bonds.
Look at Barry Lamar Bonds.
Look at how much.
Barry Lamar Bonds, the best hitter in the history of the MLB, was a Hall of Famer before he left Pittsburgh. He was a Hall of Famer as a Pirate. And then he went to the Giants. And then he was a monster. And call it PED, call it steroid use. He was never tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Do with that what you will. Barry Bonds has one of the best quotes in all of sports saying, I'm not cocky, I'm good. And that is the number one best sports quote ever. And still, these guys got more punishment than people who directly impacted the World Series. If I'm Rob Manfred and I'm not a bitch, I take away their title, strike it from the record. Don't give it to the Dodgers. Don't give it to anybody. Strike it.
If Bregman or Altuve or Cora are not banned for life, Pete Rose should be reinstated and put in all of them.
Well, Pete Rose should be reinstated anyway.
No, yeah, but I'm just saying.
Even Pete Rose,
even better of a case.
I want to be in the Hall of Fame now. Because if you're going to let these guys have a trophy, let me do that. Also, one of the best exchanges was Justin Turner talking about the Commissioner's Trophy, which is the World Series trophy, as it's called. And they're like, do you think that this brings any disrespect or not not worth to the trophy because of the win? He goes, the only thing that is dirtying this trophy is the fact that it's called the Commissioner's Trophy. Exactly. And that is the single best response you can have. Not only did the Astros lie, cheat, and fucking play their way to the top of a World Series, they traded their coach away. He goes to the Red Sox, yada, yada. They cheated. They have Alex Cora. There's no way you're a coach and you say, wait, we want a chip with doing this and nobody caught us. Let's not do it again. Nobody's going to say that. They're going to do the same thing. Red Sox are doing it. And you know what? The Red Sox are an incredible example of how that turns the table. The Red Sox had made no postseason trades after their World Series victory, nothing significant, and they won 20 less games. We're not looking at a Patrick Mahomes type thing or a Lamar Jackson when you look at a quarterback and now you have film. This is a baseball team. You don't have film on how to pitch to somebody. It's not, oh, he's going to throw this. He can't hit a curveball. Well, then I'm going to throw him a curveball. Because in the offseason, he's learning, I couldn't hit a curveball. Time for me to learn. You don't do that. They stopped doing it, and they didn't win anything. So you've got an organization that lied and cheated their way to a title, another organization that lied and cheated their way to a title with the same man behind it, and a commissioner who's not going to do shit about it. I don't want a championship in Los Angeles unless we win. I don't want them to give us the trophy for either.
And that's how I feel about us.
Right.
I don't want it. I don't want it. The Dodgers, look, all props to you. Yankees had a great team, but the Dodgers had we took the Astros to 7 in the World Series. However that championship would have gone, one of us would have won because we're the only teams in there. I think the Dodgers would have won, but I also thought the Dodgers would beat the
also going to say
and I also thought the Dodgers would beat the Red Sox, but we didn't. And so you've got a bitch commissioner who's sitting on his chair saying, oh, only bans for the coaches. Well, that's incredible. What I'm saying is you kick Altuve back to AAA, let him spend 5 years there and see how he comes out hitting. You kick anybody involved with that team, you serve him a year suspension. 1 year, period. You take that title from them by force, strike it from the record, not even an asterisk. You vacated it. Completely vacated title. Not Barry Lamar Bonds' home run record with an asterisk. I'm talking you get rid of your 2017 and 2018 World Series champions. And that is the only way that you can responsibly be a commissioner.
Let me make a comment real quick. Or rather, do you guys know, let me just put a little more context around it, a little more an idea that I was thinking about. Do you know the top 3 Latin American baseball teams nationally? The national teams. No. Like the national teams that they have. The 3 best countries.
Mexico and Cuba, right?
Venezuela, Mexico, Cuba, and Nicaragua was kind of like here and there with the 3rd place because their youth team just won the gold medal in the competition they had, which is, that's fun. But those 3 that I'm trying to highlight are Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Cuba. What do all those 3 governments have in common?
They're all socialist.
Exactly. Do you know what those governments would have done if one of their baseball teams was found out to have it? They would have been disbanded as an organization, had all their money taken away, every single championship taken away.
You're thrown in jail for the next 5 years.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm all for. I'm 100% all for either disbanding the Astros franchise or making them move to Cleveland because
no. Mexico City wants an expansion franchise.
You take it away from the Astros and you move it literally 3 hours south to Mexico City.
That'll work for me. And then if you want to do the same with the Red Sox, which I doubt will happen because of their history, but if you want to do the same with the Red Sox, move them to Montreal.
That's
it.
Yeah, Montreal. Well, the problem is Montreal didn't want a team, which is why the Expos fell apart. I would say you move them to Vancouver. Vancouver wants sports. Vancouver loves sports. Moving to Vancouver, it makes a West Coast expedition so much easier. Put them in the National League, and then you move the Indians over to the American League, and you've got yourself a fucking deal.
Right.
The Indians are American League. Move the Cubs over to the American League. Take one of them. I don't care.
Take one of the teams. You've done it before. Remember, the Astros used to be in the National League.
Right. The White Sox are American League, right?
Yes.
You've got 2 Chicago teams in the same city. One is North Side and one is South Side, and they're in different divisions. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. That's like the Jets and the Giants being in opposite divisions.
Yeah, I know, man. It's
ridiculous. You separate something. You're the commissioner. You're supposed to commish, whatever that means. You do that.
Right. Do your job. Pull up your pants. No one pulled up their pants. No one put on their pants and did what they were supposed to do. No one owned up to the cheating scandal. No one did what they were supposed to do to discipline them. And then no one's keeping up the fire to the feet. And the only reason that happened is because all of sports stopped because of COVID-19, which PJ, you believe Jose Altuve created it just to get the attention away from the Astros.
This would not have happened under Bud Selig.
No, Bud Selig would have just.
I'm not a Bud Selig guy.
Neither am I, but you miss him right now.
Wanted this to go away. He would have done. He would have actually punished the people responsible if he wanted this to go away. He would have had everybody shut up. But now. And I hope to God this is still the case, even though we don't know when baseball is going to start again. I hope to God this is still the case. Now it's going to be it's already a massive disaster.
Yeah.
But it's going to be so bad when people are just plunking every Astros player to ever step up to bat for every game of the entire season, entire cities. Wait till the Astros play in New York. It's going to be. They're going to have to. Coronavirus or not, they're not going to have fans in the stands because there's going to be throwing beer bottles, everything down there. It's going to be insane.
It's going to be
the Astros deserve every amount of it coming to them.
It's going to be like those Mexican soccer games. Have you ever seen a Mexican soccer game?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You know how much beer they throw onto the field? I'm like, you guys already paid for that, right? You know you lost your money. Well, they don't care. They will throw cups at you if you score against their team. But point is, just to wrap, if we can just somewhat wrap this up a little bit, or start wrapping it up just a little bit.
I can go on forever, so you're gonna have to
come. No. You can go on for another 5 weeks if we could.
When Ryan Howard had a beer bottle thrown at him at a Phillies game, or not at a Phillies, at a Phillies away game, got it chucked at him and he got furious. This is going to be like literally every time that Jose Bautista steps up to the plate at Orioles Park, and then he hits a dinger and curses out all the fans. First of all, Jose Bautista, not an argument, worst player in the MLB.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that one home run.
We have 3 people from 3 different fan bases all agreeing Jose Bautista is the worst player in the MLB.
Even when he was in minor league ball.
Oh, he was an Oriole.
Oh yeah, trust me. It was bad. It was one of the things that really I'd love to see it was Odor from the Rangers. That fight
absolutely dropped. That was insane.
That was wonderful. He deserved it too.
Aside from Nolan Ryan, that is the best punch that I've ever seen in a baseball game.
Absolutely.
Hunter Strickland and Bryce Harper.
Nothing gets hit by one of those punches every single time he makes it on base.
He deserves it.
I mean, he's not going to ever make it on base because he's not going to be cheating anymore. But that's a different story. And the rare occasion Altuve makes it on base, I hope he just gets. Is my thoughts on this.
Yeah. All right. Closing remarks on this. Gerald, go ahead.
Closing remarks on just this topic is going to be that Rob Manfred needs to resign. They need to get a commissioner who's going to do something about this. And I don't care about the immunity. I don't care about how much they talk. Just because you said I'm not going to put you in jail if you talk, I don't care. You committed a wrong. Someone's going to have to be disciplined. And the fact that you're over there, not only you're not even being apologetic. You're just saying, we just played the game better. No, you did not. You cheated. You ruined the integrity of the game, of a championship that no longer should be yours. If this were any other country, you would have been exiled by now by the people. You're lucky this is a civilized country to an extent, because if not, people with their guns would have been at your doorstep trying to demand some recompense because the organization that governs you didn't do their job.
All right, PJ, go ahead.
All right. So, closing statements on this. Rob Manfred, terrible commissioner. Players should be held accountable. I'd rather see Alex Cora manage a game than see Altuve or Bregman or Cora or Correa ever step foot on baseball field again. And don't let the lockdown and coronavirus stopping baseball, don't let that stop you from absolutely tearing the Astros a new asshole once baseball starts again.
My closing thoughts are nothing changes a .142 like to a .472 like an upgrade from an old X, changing from a .13 to a .47. That is all I have to say about that. Rob Manfred, you're a bitch. Jose Altuve, you are a not great baseball player. You're 5'6" and couldn't find a job in any other sport, and this is the bat you chose to play. I know you grew up hitting broomsticks against bottle caps, but you couldn't hit a baseball with a baseball bat without a fucking camera in the outfield if it mattered. All right, on to the next topic. We've got PJ talking about baseball expansion, but first, Gerald, give us your international rundown.
All right, so obviously, like we said, all sports have stopped right now. This interfered with a multitude of international events. Now, I am really big on international sports. I love them. I love the Olympics, World Cup, and the international soccer tournaments, even the Rugby World Cup, the Cricket World Cup.
Gerald is our resident international sports expert.
The World Baseball Classic is a wonderful thing to watch. You know, if you can get international sports, it's great. It'll also help your patriotism, or you can root for another country to beat the U.S. because you're that kind of American, which is fine. But this is just a rundown. Not only that, the biggest sport in the world, everywhere else except for this country, is soccer. So let me just run down the things that have been affected by this coronavirus in the soccer world. The European the club championship, both the Champions League and the Europa League, their major and minor championship series, have been postponed. No decision has yet to be made to rearrange games. No decision yet to, try to salvage that tournament. I think they might just scrap it. The International European Soccer Championship that was supposed to take place this year, marking 60 years since the beginning of the championship, has been moved to next year because they couldn't play it this year. Supposed to be hosted in 10 different countries with the finals in England. Not going to happen this year. Going to be pushed back to next year. South American soccer also had its continental championship this year. Not going to happen. That's going to happen next year as well. So we're going to have that together. The Olympics, for the first time in their history, have been postponed an entire year until next year. So this is going to be the 125th anniversary, I believe, of the original 1896 modern Olympic Games in Athens. So at least they'll have that going for them. But still, first time in history, the Olympics have not been canceled. They've been postponed, which is, also affecting other things like qualification for every single one of those sports. Japan is ready. Tokyo is ready, but the world isn't. The rest of the leagues around the world, except for Belarus, have postponed or scrapped their entire soccer seasons.
Thank you, Belarus.
Yeah, thank you, Belarus. In the U.S., Major League Soccer, a quickly growing, developing sports league, has been postponed until at least May 10th, most likely going to be postponed even further. The U.S. Open Cup, postponed indefinitely between major and minor league soccer teams. National Women's Soccer League, the start of the season, has been postponed indefinitely. The Mexican Soccer League, postponed indefinitely. They were in the middle of the second half of their season. And also, pushing into next year, was already scheduled a North American international tournament that is always held on odd number years as to not interfere with a bunch of other sporting events. Is now going to be, the Olympics, the European Championships, the South American Championships, the African Championships, the Asian Championships in soccer, all postponed. Next year is going to be a crazy year for sports. It's going to be filled to the brim. If you can't find something to watch sports-related next year, you're not trying hard enough. So basically, the world has stopped, so is the world of sports. But that means next year, when everything, hoping to dear Lord, everything reopens and everything's back in business, I don't think it's going to go past this year. So next year, hopefully, is going to be one of the best and most stimulating sports years in history. Let's get ready for it, but we're just going to have to wait it out right now. Right now, sports has stopped. Next year, hopefully, sports returns and becomes the triumphant way that the world comes back together to celebrate. Also, this year, the decision on where the 2026 United States host cities for the World Cup has been postponed. The decision has been postponed. You have 17 potential, because they have to do it at the FIFA conference. They have to do it all together. I don't know why, but if anyone's going to screw this up, it's going to be the FIFA, because the kickbacks and all that. But
in the Olympics, and now FIFA has always their way of introducing things and making things terrible. Every single chairman has been indicted on some kind of fraud or embezzling charge.
They're taking kickbacks from stadium construction. They've taken the minimum bribe I think was ever taken was $10,000 for a World Cup vote for Qatar. That was the minimum. Some of them got offered paintings, sports cars, $2 million checks, briefcases full of cash that just got waved through security at international airports. It's insane. But in 2026, this country is going to show the world how to host an international sporting event, because we're going to host a World Cup. Like I told you, MetLife is most likely going to be the one to host the final again. This country can hold a World Cup tomorrow if it wanted to, because we have the best stadiums in the world. We have stadium. You know how easy it is to get real grasp on the.
We have 60 of them. No, we have like 120 of them.
I told you this. There's the.
You go.
I've worked out a contingency plan
NFL,
where
MLS, MLB, Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Big 12, Pac-10, everything. You have whatever sports you want.
You could have watch parties in basketball arenas full of 20,000 people and sell tickets if you wanted to. Honestly, you could just keep on making more and more and more and more money in this country with success and security. And I've worked it out. There's a way for this country to use almost every single one of its stadiums so well that you could host 7 World Cups or 8 World Cups in a row in this country without reusing a single stadium and just rake in the cash. There's,
We've gone through that, and we're going to cover that in another episode because it's beautiful and it's a perfect plan that we've constructed. But we don't have enough time in this segment to put that on, so we'll have to put that until next week.
That's right, the International Sports Roundup. PJ?
Sports Roundup from Gerald. Now, PJ, please gift us with the wonder of the Grapefruit League versus Cactus League bracket.
So, first of all, I need to figure out how to stream Belarus sporting events. And one note on when sports finally returns, like I said earlier, it's going to be like post 9/11. Every sporting event after the first sporting event for every sport, once this is all over, is going to go down in history one way or another. So, Gerald, do you mind pulling up the little sheet that I made earlier?
I got you. Just a second.
While we're waiting, the MLB has proposed a realignment for a potential start late in summer for the spring training leagues, or as such, to be a realignment between the AL and the NL, with certain AL teams shifting to the Cactus League and certain NL teams shifting to the Grapefruit League, depending on travel. So you've got certain teams moving, complete division realignment just for the year, and it would put out a bracket that looks like this.
So, Joe, you mind making that full screen real quick? I got bad eyes. So
yeah, I'll zoom in. Which side do you want first, blue or red?
Let's go blue.
These 2019 records, yeah.
So we have Grapefruit League, which is spring training league, usually played in Florida, and then you have the Cactus League, which is played in Arizona. So, as a Yankees fan, I love this realignment because in the North for the Grapefruit League, this is all based on geography as opposed to NL, AL, so you'll have a whole mix of teams in there. So right now we have Yankees, Phillies, Pirates, Blue Jays, and Tigers all in one division. That is outstanding to me as a Yankees fan. Please make this the permanent divisions, except switch out the Phillies with the Orioles, and we're winning the World Series every year. So in the South, we have the Twins, Braves, Rays, Red Sox, and Orioles. Now, I think this could be one of the more interesting divisions. I think all of these teams, if they all in one division, I think it could be an absolute madhouse. There's not a wild card team coming out of this because whoever wins the division would make the playoffs. But whoever wins this division would not make the playoffs if they did not win this division. It's going to be the NFC East of baseball. It's going to be an absolute dogfight for every team. I mean, and then you got the Orioles. Sorry, Gerald, but
no.
And the Red Sox
have some reality here.
But,
yeah.
I don't see the Orioles winning more than 66 games in this format.
And then in the East, we have this is a good one. The last year's World Series matchup: the cheating Houston Astros, the Washington Nationals.
Here's my problem. Here's my problem with this. Real quick, just a quick comment. You still think the Nationals can't own the Astros? They beat them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that doesn't take away from the fact that the Astros are the biggest piece of shit to ever play the sport. So, shout out to the Nationals. Love them. So
you're forgetting about the New England Patriots.
I hate Houston a lot. I hate Houston at this moment in time more than I hate the Red Sox, and I'm a Yankees fan. So we got the Astros, the Nationals, the Cardinals, the Mets, and the Marlins. Now, one team I wanted to point out, my dad, if you're still watching, you're going to love that. He's a Mets fan. The Mets always have a terrible second half of their season.
Jake DeGrom falls apart.
At the beginning of each season, the Mets are, the Mets could make a playoff push. Nationals were bad at the beginning of last season, but, I mean, obviously they won the World Series. Astros, I hope they're terrible for the rest of their franchise's existence. And then, the Marlins are the Marlins. So you go ahead over to the you can go over to the Cactus.
The Marlins can't even afford their own stadium. They thought, we'll get it in ticket prices. You guys had a rain out on a roof stadium the first day you had a game there. That is a terrible sign, and it has showed.
Yeah, shout out to Derek Jeter for swinging us Giancarlo Stanton for chump change. So in the Northeast division of the Cactus League, we have the A's, the Diamondbacks, the Cubs, the Giants, and the Rockies. I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty good division. The Cubs, I don't really know where the Cubs are going, honestly.
Down.
Yeah. I mean, they're going down, but,
they're on the downswing as an organization.
And then you got the Giants and the Rockies. The Rockies about to trade Arenado. Hopefully,
a little hint here that the Diamondbacks, Giants, and Rockies have all been stomped by the Dodgers each of the last, I believe, 8 years that we are now NL West champions. So they're not a competition against there. Also, before anything is said, I just want to put this up for the Cactus League West.
Yeah. I have a feeling that Corey's feeling the same way I was feeling about the realignment with the Yankees.
Indians, Reds, White Sox, Angels.
I know you're loving that because the Indians are getting rid of Lindor. And
if I'm making a swap, it's that the Angels are taking a 90-win season because now they've got Rendon and a healthy Trout out at the prime of his years. And White Sox and Reds just suck. They just suck. I've got nothing positive to say right now. White Sox have a good bullpen, but that's it. And then Brewers are easily winning that. Well, actually, I don't know. Let me see that. Brewers, Rangers, Padres, Marlins, Royals.
Brewers are definitely running.
I don't know. I think the Padres might take it.
I don't know about the Padres, man.
I think the Padres would take it.
And they just signed Kluber, right? That was the Padres.
Padres, yeah, they got Kluber and now they got Machado.
Yeah.
I think the Padres could take that division, especially with the skimpy Brewers just looking like they were last season in no man's land with two good players.
Well, based on your projections, I don't know if you actually base your projections on reality or just decided to put something there to put something there, but
I just put last year's record.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. Based on last year's records, this is for the most part, this seems to be the most, condensed, even league division.
Well, you got a 30-win split there. What do you have in the Southwest?
Well, you mean in the Northeast?
No. What do you have in the other league? 'Cause that's a 30-win split.
I think they're all bigger than that because you have big winners and big losers in each division.
That's the easiest. I mean, you don't ever see a 30-win division in a league. It's always over that, like a 47 differential. Yeah, I don't know. My predictions on this is I see personally the Padres winning out their division, the Dodgers winning theirs. What else we got up top? Who's their division winner? The Athletics are easily taking that. I think the Reds could make a run, and the Rockies would be themselves in the wild card. The Rockies are a fine team. Remember, they took us in the Dodgers back to a play-in game back in 2018 or 17.
I think it was 18. Pretty
and
sure.
then in the East, I would see the let me see that real quick on the East. The grapefruit. The Yankees are taking theirs. I could see the Cardinals actually taking the East. I think the Cardinals got a good squad up. If not the Cardinals, then I think the Nationals might make some waves. The Rays, I actually think the Rays could win over that division.
Well, no. The Rays are really good. They were supposed to be tanking, and they almost made a playoff spot. So the Rays got to be careful. If they want to go for it, if they want to go for it, they can take it.
I think the Rays, and then the next win up would be the National or the Astros or the Nationals. I'm going to say the Nationals just because of the circumstance, because they're not dealing with enhanced technology, and the Astros aren't breaking 80 wins. Now, for wild card, I think it's going to be Philadelphia, and I do think it's going to be Tampa Bay. I don't see Tampa winning that division. I think it would be the Braves instead, just because the Braves have their squad built together. Now, if we're looking at the postseason,
this is all based off of last year. So if these were the leagues for last year, this is what the playoffs would look like. I mean, if you look at it, it's almost entirely the American League.
Yeah, I'm going to wipe this and say that I think that the wild card play-in is going to be let me see the East again. I think the play-in is going to be Nationals versus the Rays in that, and I think the Rays are taking that wild card game to play in against the Braves because I think that they're going to get that good seed.
And the Rays are. I'm terrified of the Rays.
I think the Rays would sweep or just take one loss. Then I think in the other bracket you'd see the Cardinals, which I again think is an incredible squad that they've got going on, versus the Yankees, and I think that the Yanks could pull out in a 3-2 because the Cardinals got a good little squad to them. They got a great rotation and a great bullpen that they can hold down, as well as having good bench players. Now then it comes to the Rays and the Yankees, and I think as much as I would love to say the Yankees could beat the Rays, I think that squad that they have is scary. And if we're talking realistically, something that I couldn't see happening but also could, I think the Rays take it.
I mean, the Rays are good.
The Rays are good. No. Here's the thing.
It could be a repeat of what happens in the NHL every year with the Tampa Bay Lightning beating the Rangers.
Here's the thing: is best team does not constitute winning.
That's true.
The Yankees are by far the better team, but I think the Rays just have that because if we're putting them in like this, they've got the wild card and they want to make it. And not only do they have that, they're unpredictable. They could get swept or they could sweep. I think it's a toss-up between the Yankees and the Rays, whoever goes forward, but I think it determines the team who makes that, which is who wins. Now let's go to the West. Now there it's easy that the Dodgers have a lock. It's easy the Athletics have a lock. And I think that the Padres also could get a lock in on that. I think the Padres have a good squad coming together.
I would put Padres. I agree. Padres are definitely the second best team in that division, but I think Padres are wild card. I think Brewers definitely get the lock out of that division.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll agree with that. Then I'll say, well, because as much as I think Padres, the history has shown the Brewers do better. So, well, history has shown nothing. The Brewers and the Padres have both historically been awful.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give the edge to the Brewers on that. And the Dodgers are far and ahead. I think that in this format, the Dodgers are winning 110 games, maybe 120. Seriously.
Yankees are putting up obscene numbers again. I mean, look, show our division again.
Your division is going to be Yankees,
Pirates, Blue Jays, Tigers.
Jesus Christ! You could at least try to make it fair.
I think it would finish like that, but I mean, the other division is god awful. Like, what are the Reds going to get? 90 wins? The Indians are going to get 70 or 60? Like, you've got a terrible division. Back to the West real quick. So I'm looking and I see that I have the Brewers and the A's and the Dodgers. Now it's the wild card. So I'm going to throw my hat in the race and say the Rockies and the Padres. Regardless of who wins that, it doesn't matter. They're falling to the Dodgers.
That's
because
true.
the Rockies and the Padres are both in the Dodgers division, and we've never had a problem dispatching them. So they're done. Dodgers are a lock in. Then you've got Brewers and Athletics. I think that the Athletics can make that move over them. I think the Athletics could take the Padres on without question. I mean, they've got Black Chris Davis and what's his name? The best third baseman in the league.
I forgot.
Well, it's all right. You don't have to be known to be best. But either way, I think that division is, I think the entire West, the entire Cactus League is open for the Dodgers to take it. Now it just comes down to Yankees or the Rays, and then either one's a toss-up. I mean, if the Rays can beat the Yankees, the Rays can beat the Dodgers. That's my thinking. But if the Yankees can beat the Rays, I think that would be a 7-game Dodgers swing. Just because of that little 2 acquisitions that we made named Price and
well, depending on, you said you're expecting the Dodgers to get 110 wins. And
I would be surprised if the Dodgers in this format in a full season did not make 115 wins.
All right, how many wins do you think the Yankees are going to have in their format, in their new?
I think the Yankees would have 105, 110.
105, 110. So those, look, it's going to be a battle for the.
I mean, the Phillies are the only team that would.
Here's the thing. is you're not just playing your division. Look at the Cactus League real quick. Look at the West.
Are they doing? Is everybody playing everybody, or is it going to be something
No,
where it's just going to be
the
in
great
your
question.
division?
It's just league
Here.
versus league.
Hold on.
Grapefruit?
So here's give me the Cactus real quick.
Gotcha.
All right. Who's the hardest team the Dodgers would have to play? The hardest, not the best 2019 record.
The
Nobody.
A's.
I mean,
might
the
do something,
A's. You got A's are really the best team out of it.
All right. Now
Except
let's go over to the Grapefruit League.
but
Now we've got the Yankees. Who do they have to compete with?
They gotta-
Nationals.
Twins, and then the
Twi-
Phillies with a fully recovered.
I don't
Arm-
consider the
and
Twins
Salvatore.
because the Yankees run through Minnesota anytime we even look at them. So I'm not.
Anyway,
I mean, I say
remember-
that now that
you gotta
Minnesota's going to win
So
some
here's
miracle
what we got.
playoff game against
We've
us.
got
But,
Phillies are looking like a good team because they've got everybody healthy and used to the squad. The Braves look nice and the Rays look nice, and then you got Astros and Nats, and the Cardinals are not a bad team. That's 6 competitors, which is the only reason why I'm going to say 105. I'm going to say 107 wins because that's a fucking Yankees squadron right there. That is paralleled not since Jeter A-Rod days with Randy Johnson on the mound with Mariano to clean up. Fun fact, more men have walked on the moon than have scored off of Mariano Rivera in the postseason. Mariano Rivera is the best relief pitcher ever. No debate. Nobody. Don't want to hear it. So you got 6 competitors out in the Grapefruit League. In the Cactus League, there's the Athletics. And that's why. I'm not saying 115 wins means a better team than 106. It's just the record I'm putting there.
Wait. We are also assuming they're going to play 100 games.
No,
Are they going to play 100 games? Are they going to play 162 games?
That's the ratio I'm giving. I'm not going to call and make that estimate to that. But I'm saying,
let's say they play 100 games total. They're going to win like 80.
I think the Dodgers would win 75 of their games, and I think the Yankees would win 68 or 69. Nice. But I think the Yankees are going up. But the problem is that it's a hard conference.
No, yeah, I get that.
Realignment. Like you look at there's
and everyone's gonna have a DH.
In that record, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams over 90 wins. Move it over to the Cactus League. 1, 2, 3, 3 teams over 90 wins. I think that speaks. And it doesn't make the team stronger, the team better, but momentum carries through September into October. And I think that would almost guarantee a sweep against anybody for the Dodgers going into the NLC or the CLCS, the Cactus League Championship Series.
Or the GLCS.
GLCS. And I don't know. I think if the Rays came against the Dodgers, I think the Rays would win. If the Yankees went up against the Dodgers, I think it would be a 7-game 50-50 split. I think momentum.
That would be a flip of the coin. That would be the best possible. I think
as long as there's.
My only thing is that I believe that it might be a self-centered Dodgers thing. The Dodgers have a bench that would be a starting team for anybody. Max Muncy, Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, Jock Peterson. These are all people on our bench.
I mean, the same can be said for the Yankees. We still won well over 100 games last season with our entire starting lineup injured.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Yankees are a squadron. There's no doubting they're the team to beat in the East, and the Dodgers are the team to beat in the West. The realignment just put things in weird terms that there is no East or West. You know, they're moving teams all around based on geography. The Angels, the Dodgers would have to face Mike Trout 4 times, 5 times, like 5.
So does that mean you think we're shortchanging the Angels? Do you think Shohei Ohtani is going to come back in time for this?
Shohei
is going to be back to his prime. The Angels might be a team to beat. That might be another competitor you have to add to your list.
Well, here's the thing: is that I believe that the Angels are a team. I believe that the Angels have a really good lineup. They got who was it? They got Kluber, right? Was that no? That's Padres. Who did the Angels get? They got Rendon, and they got another pitching ace on their side. But they've got a bunch of great players on their team, but I don't think that they have the necessary entire lineup around them to make this happen. I mean, the best player who came back from Tommy John surgery might be David Wells in the 80s. Nobody comes back from it the same as they went in. I think Ohtani will be a middle reliever at best if he wants to be a good pitcher. He's a middle reliever.
Or they can just stick him into the DH position since everyone's going to have a DH position.
Yeah, that's the other thing is there's a universal DH now.
Here's my belief, though. What ligament do you need to pitch? That elbow. What do you need to hit? That elbow.
That's true.
No pitcher, no hitter, to my knowledge, has ever had to recover from a Tommy John surgery. That's a pitching ailment. Now, to see somebody who was a designated hitter who was monstrous in the overseas leagues and a pitcher that was you didn't want to go up against him on the mound in the overseas undertake the injury that either makes or breaks your career, I think it's really hard to make that assumption. I think Shohei Ohtani will come back a fine player, but I don't think he's the prospect that the Angels thought he was going to be. So I will undercut them. I absolutely will play the Angels as a non-factor. I think that while they do have the best player in baseball, they were the Patriots last season. It only carries you so far. It's not going to get you a ring. It's not going to get you it's not going to get you a postseason berth.
Being the best player in baseball means you hit 30% of the ball surrounding.
Yeah. Hitting 300 on your career is excellent.
Right. You can't. One player can't
do you remember what the Mendoza line is at?
I should know. It's my last name, but no, I kind of try to distance myself from that one.
I think it's around I don't remember, but it's a mark which takes you from an average ball player to a good ball player. And
I thought it was the other way. I thought it was from average to bad. If you're hanging around the Mendoza line, that's not a good thing to be.
No. I'm saying if you're above it, though, you're a good ball player.
I guess. Yeah. I thought it was 210 or something.
No, I thought it was 280 something.
280 something?
270.
So you got it.
Google.
That's true. Oh, that's right, because what's his name? Brian Roberts was always below it.
Yeah. Well,
God, Brian Roberts.
Brian Roberts.
Hey, he was a Yankee too. Shush.
Yeah, I know. Played his entire career for the Orioles and said, "I've always wanted to be a Yankee."
The Mendoza line sits around in 80. It went up to 245, and then in 82 it went down to 118. It's to define a competent hitter, somebody who can step up to the plate and be a hitter, not somebody who's going to be a wiener stepping up with a bat in their hand and trying to play
to be a big league ball hitter.
It's what defines you from AAA to major leagues.
Right.
And there's not a lot of guys on that Angels roster that are doing that business, so I'm going to undercut them. I don't see the Angels as making any waves in the next 5 years, and I frankly see Mike Trout's talent as wasted. I think Mike Trout is he's the second best player I've ever seen in my life at batting. And that comes now, I wouldn't put him in the top 5 of batting in my lifetime. You've got Barry Bonds, you've got A-Rod, you've got Pujols seeing his career, and even more modern guys like Miggy Cabrera. These are guys who are stone cold hitters. But Mike Trout's probably the best rounded player since Mickey Mantle.
Oh, do you remember Josh Hamilton in his prime?
Hamilton was nice. Hamilton's a gunner too. But, I think that the Angels have a nice piece, but they're building around the wrong thing. They're too committed to making Mike Trout their centerpiece and not making him a part of the team. And in football and in hockey or basketball, that works. You can assemble a team around one guy and make it happen. That's how the Cleveland Cavaliers went to 3 or 4 straight finals. But you're not going to build a baseball squad off of one player. It's not possible.
Right. So just to wrap this up, any final thoughts on this, PJ, on the season, if and when we get it back? Because it's still not a 100% guarantee that.
Yeah, and then you have the logistics of the thing. You got speaking of Mike Trout, his wife's pregnant and is due in August. So what, you're gonna make him stay quarantined and
Well,
not go see
it's
his
the
kid.
same.
Like,
It's the same thing as the Garrett Cole. He has
Yeah.
his wife's pregnant and is due. Is he going to stick around and play games when his wife's pregnant?
because once you're there, you can't leave.
Correct.
You can't go anywhere once you're wherever. If this all goes through, you're not allowed to do anything. But all right, so final thoughts. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have to worry about this. But if this is what happens, then Yankees are obviously winning their division. That's an absolute cakewalk. And I want, at the end of all this, as long as we get a Yankees-Dodgers World Series and finally get to see who would have been the best if the Astros weren't up to their shenanigans. That's
Who would
all
have
I
been the
care
best in
about.
2017 or 2018?
I want this season to be spent booing, just tearing apart the Houston Astros, and finally having the World Series that everybody's deserved the last couple of years, Yankees-Dodgers. As long as that happens, I'm okay. Yankees could lose and I'd be fine. As long as we get there, that's all I care about.
Yeah, and I guess my final thoughts.
Otherwise,
on
it's 28.
I mean, yeah. Look, I'm an Orioles fan. I didn't have much to look forward to this year. I didn't expect I would be, looking forward to Grapefruit and Cactus League, professional baseball realignments and all that. But look, I'll take what I can get, and I just, I don't know. I think that, I think the world deserves to see another Yankees-Dodgers World Series. It's what the world wants to see. It's their international brands.
It's the best thing for baseball.
It's the two teams that kids around the world want to grow up to play in. And I think it would be great for the sport, great for the world to see that happen in sports again. So, that's my thing. Corey, final thoughts and your little minute spiel on the
Final thoughts. I grew up with Dodgers, or not Dodgers. I grew up with Yankees, Red Sox, and those were the two best teams, and there was nobody who would come between them. Whoever won the ALCS won the World Series. You either had David Ortiz on one hand of the bat or Randy Johnson on one hand of the ball. You had Mariano Rivera in 9 innings, and it doesn't matter. If he touches the ball, you lost the game. We deserve to see another finals, any kind of ALCS, NLCS, or even a World Series like that. It's East Coast versus West Coast with Dodgers, Yankees, and I think everybody deserves to see that. It's what gets kids invested. Nobody wants to see a cheating Astros squad win a World Series with a kid who can't bat 300 points above when he's home, and we don't deserve to see that. Any kind of sports coming home to America is good, and we should be able to see that. Cactus League, Grapefruit League, however it works out, we want baseball. Give it to us, Rob Manfred. Oh, God, give it to us. So, as we're wrapping up the show, we've got one more segment, which will take up a couple minutes, but I'm going to hit you with Corey's rundown real quick. I'm just going to cover news stories. So, as you guys might have heard, ESPN is putting out Michael Jordan's Last Dance, which is the 4th last dance that we have ever seen or heard of from him. WWE has been deemed an essential business by Florida, and NXT remains completely inessential, as they have been since the beginning of time. Joe Kelly threw a baseball through a window in his house, and it's still not the worst performance in a home game. NBA Horse Challenge is technologically challenged, and people have trouble streaming, reminding us of why none of them have careers in the STEM field and are instead basketball players. Hall of Famer Roy Halladay was found to have amphetamines in his system, causing his death, which still wasn't enough to keep Doc Ellis from pitching a perfect game. Von Miller was diagnosed with corona, which will change nothing considering all wide receivers have stayed 6 feet away from him. And Gronk is the WWE 24/7 champion, which still gives him less CTE than if he was a player.
Thank you, Corey, for that rundown. All right, this last segment, we're just going to wrap it up real quick for our inaugural show. It's our first show, number 1 of hopefully many. So I challenge everyone here. Who had baseball? What is it, Corey? You had the baseball, right?
Yep. Each week, we're going to go through the number 1 player at the episode's numbered position. So if it's episode number 1, we're going to cover people who wore the jersey number 1. If it's episode number 2, it's number 2, and so on. We're not doing repeats. So in case of number 23 and 45, you can't pick Michael Jordan for both. So I'm taking MLB this week, and my number one goes to Ozzie Smith. As you guys might have heard, 13 Golden Gloves, 37 Defensive WAR, and there's his backflip on the diamond, which makes him the best player of all time. But arguably, 13 Gold Gloves, that puts you in high standing. Nobody else is going to come competing. PJ.
All right, and shout out to Corey for my answer here. Gerald, I was assigned football, and I was having a hard time thinking of people who were the number 1 in football. It's not a very common number.
Hold that real quick. Speak slowly.
You breaking out the? Are you breaking out the jersey of the player I'm about to say?
Yes, he is. That's
All
exactly
right,
what he's
we love
doing.
to hear it.
I mean, he deserves it. He deserves
Gerald,
it.
you want to give us a drum roll while we're waiting for him to grab this jersey?
Not my instrument, but I guess I could make some noise or
Yeah,
something.
you know.
You can hear that.
Might
Nope,
be at
it's
this for a
buffering.
while at this rate. Too.
I mean, no, he's getting the jersey. But
All right, well,
instead, let me do mine, and then when he shows up, we can do it. I got two off the bat right now, and I'll give you one more once everything's done. For hockey, NHL, Terry Sawchuk of the Detroit Red Wings, years active 1950 through 70, 971 games played, 445 wins. He was a goalie. He had 10,376 saves, four-time Stanley Cup champion, 7-time All-Star
jersey around here. Couldn't find it.
4-time Vezina Trophy winner. You know, born in Canada, born and bred in one of the greatest games. Terry Sawchuk, best NHL player with number one. And in soccer is going to have to be Iker Casillas, the goalie for Spain for so long, and Real Madrid, one of the most recognizable sports brands of all time. One of the best goalies I've ever seen. Made some incredible saves that helped Spain win the World Series in 2010. Those are the two for right now. And PJ,
also,
go ahead, Corey.
Gonna put this out there. Has anybody taken an NBA?
No, we were going to leave that one for last.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, so go ahead.
I'll let Gerald go because I was waiting for you to grab your jersey, but we're on the same page. We got the legend, the show, Pat McAfee, punter for the Indianapolis Colts. Absolute stone cold legend. Greatest punter of all time.
The GOAT. Named to
the
NFL All-Decade team as the punter, by the way.
I mean, he's just great. You know,
greatest number one to ever wear number one of any sport.
Hey, it's too true. Too true.
All right. And the NBA number one, in case that hasn't already been gifted out, is going to be none other than the triple-double king, Oscar Robertson. If you are thinking if you're thinking, Hustle Westbrook, whatever, no, not that. Oscar Robertson, the original 12-time All-Star, championship in 71 with the Bucks. Nobody wins a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks. But point guard, standing at 5 foot something, maybe 6'1", doesn't matter. Number retired by two different teams. Oscar Robertson, baby.
All right, and with that, invite you. Come back next week, 1 week from today. We'll have another show, another set of topics. We'll just keep on rambling on. Thanks for joining us for a little bit of nonsense. We'll keep you entertained, and hopefully we can get back to sports soon. We need
catch that next week, or catch us on Let's Talk Politics on Monday.
Yep.
Be here.
And you never know. We might just add another channel in there just to let loose.
We got a lot of time on our hands.
Got a lot of time on our hands. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Catch you all around.
See you.